Welcome to the Scoop World Order. I hope you guys are having a great Tuesday. We got an update on the Bill O'Brien search. Michigan loses maybe their best coach left on staff, so we're going to get into that, what that means, because they got some D-line that we really like. A lot of buzz. Corey Dennis is gone, something that we had reported last week that he likely would not stay and not accept a demotion. So where does he end up, and what is the latest on a potential kind of under-the-radar offensive coordinator search? Got the latest on that as well. So we're going to break all of that down. As always, we appreciate you guys kicking it with us. Again, you guys make this a great show, so let's make it a great one tonight. We appreciate you guys. Get those super chats warmed up. We signed up a couple more members of Pay It Forward today, so we appreciate you guys that are sponsoring them. Again, it's a fantastic program. It's been great for our Scoop family. If you guys are new to BuckeyeScoop.com, our website, our message board, it's been fantastic. I've seen a lot of you guys on there that have joined. Some of the real familiar names, some of the Ultra members have joined and dipped your toe into the message board world, and it's awesome. So we really appreciate you guys kicking it with us. If you enjoy our content, clicking like is huge for us. So if you could do that right now at the start of the show, that would be great. Additionally, if you love this channel and click the subscribe button, that is huge. And if you love these live shows and you love being a part of the live audience, click that little alert bell and you'll get an alert every time we go live. Gotta give a quick shout out to my boy Devin. My boy Devin is working late and he's listening to this while he's working underneath the house, he told me. So I appreciate you, Devin. You're the best, brother. I hope you're having a good time. We will try to entertain you while you're putting in some big time work. So thank you, brother, as always. With that being said, Nevada, the O'Brien watch is starting to whittle down. They had a round of interviews today in Atlanta. Some were in person, some were not. And then they're going to cut it down to 2, it looks like, by Thursday, Friday. They'd like to have a decision done this weekend for Boston College. What is the latest on what you're hearing on Bill O'Brien? And I guess I'll give myself credit because I did project that they potentially would be in Atlanta for the meetings. Because, again, they're not going to go to Columbus or, wherever, Notre Dame, where Al Washington is. They go to a central location. They meet there in a hotel, kind of anonymous, just like Urban Meyer did with Gene Smith and Gordon Gee. But your thoughts on where we're at with the Bill O'Brien search and potentially a new offensive coordinator at Ohio State?
Well, in terms of Bill O'Brien, I'd be really shocked if he didn't make the finals. I'd be really shocked if he's not the next head coach at Boston College. And, as we've talked about, there's some pros and cons for him about doing this. There's a lot of family issues, kind of dynamic family issues that are going on, some involving his wife, some involving his son, some involved, being there in Boston. Contractually, there's issues that we talked about the liquidated damages, clause that Boston College is asking for. But just today, Ohio State is operating as if Bill O'Brien is leaving. So Ryan Day right now is in kind of full, let's see who else is out there kind of mode. Now, as full disclaimer, there's a possibility Bill O'Brien doesn't get the job. There's a possibility, but it will not be for lack of trying, lack of interest, lack of him kind of going all out for this. And he has told Ohio State, if it's offered, I'm going. So when that happens as an employer, you've got to operate as if your employee is gone. And I think I know that's what Ryan Day is operating on. So, given that set of facts right now, the question is, what's Ryan Day doing? And so I think that we can now finally talk about realistic alternative candidates for offensive coordinator, people that would be potential splash hires, high impact guys in the Bill O'Brien mode.
Yeah, and some guys that I think we're going to get into are some guys that we've seen in the near past. A guy like Joe Moorhead, Nevada is coming back in. Nevada, I said, we're going to talk about some guys we've seen in the near past, but I'll let you continue where you're at.
Did you disconnect me? Because I wasn't even touching anything right now.
No. I think your cheek might have cheese curd grease on it from Buffalo Wild Wings.
No, I'm telling you, I wasn't even touching it. But basically right now, I would categorize that you've got some candidates that are kind of the first-tier candidates. And in the first-tier candidates, a guy that we talked about last night that I was kind of poo-pooing, that I was kind of going, need to get more information before I would move this one from, maybe to more serious, is Chip Kelly from UCLA. As unbelievable as that sounds, that a coach could move from, major college head coach to coordinator in the same time. There was a great nugget put out today by the helping technician. Helping technician is one of our great insiders. He told a story about Chip Kelly and UCLA that frankly I'd never heard of before, but to kind of summarize, it just talked about Chip Kelly kind of putting together a strategic plan, asking for resources from UCLA admin, UCLA donors, people kind of what he needed to be competitive for UCLA football, and they basically told him that they weren't going to be able to do any of that stuff. And at that point, I think that Chip Kelly's kind of checked out mentally, and that's where we've been talking about why is all of a sudden Chip Kelly pursuing all these different opportunities with this video, because we keep hearing it. You hear it every day out there in the agent community. I hear it every day in the agent community. Why is it happening? I think that was kind of the missing piece that I didn't have before until I read that, and then it started to make sense. So could Chip Kelly become the next offensive coordinator at Ohio State? Last night, I would have said that was kind of crazy talk. It was a little kind of. Now I'll say maybe. I mean, there's a possibility. So that's one of my A-tier candidates. My second A-tier candidate that I'm talking about is Joe Moorhead. Joe Moorhead, obviously a very distinguished career as an offensive coordinator, and done a lot of good things, a lot of different schools. Well, he's currently at Akron right now, just sitting there at Akron. And as we've talked about that, when we talked about with Jason Cannell from Toledo, coaches in the MAC would basically walk from their MAC school to Columbus to get there to become the coordinator for this group. And that's another guy that I would imagine, should this thing go down with Bill O'Brien, that would be a guy that I would think that would get a call really quickly if there hasn't already been conversation. So those are my two A-tier candidates to replace Bill O'Brien. Again, with the full disclaimer that Bill O'Brien may not get the Boston College job, and this could have just been much ado about nothing. But when you're interviewing, when you're in second rounds of interviews, when you're in third rounds of interviews, when you've told Ohio State you're taking the job if it's offered, I think Ohio State and Ohio State fans have to deal with it seriously and have to operate as if it's going to happen, because that's certainly where I'm at.
Yeah, I mean, if you're Ryan, all you can do is proceed as if it's going to happen, and you got to have your next guys in a row. But Al Washington's really good at interviews, so I mean, I don't know if he'll make this next round, but he had the Tennessee defensive coordinator job in the bag a couple years ago. He didn't go with it, which I thought was crazy at the time. But he's the guy the players want. Now, generally, I will say that when the players really want someone to be the head coach, that's usually like a death knell, because usually the players are too dumb to know what's good for them. Like, because if you got a guy who's a taskmaster like Bill O'Brien coming in, or Urban Meyer, like, it's got to be really, really hard. So you're probably like, oh, let's keep the other guy. Let's keep, the former player, like whatever. But it's a fascinating procedure right now. And again, Bill O'Brien's a Boston guy. We get that. We know all the parameters, but he has to operate like he's still here, because, until you get the job offer and it's the terms that you want. Because again, BC isn't exactly, resetting the record books when it comes to paying people, not from a head coaching or a staff standpoint. So you got to take all of that into account. Like, Ohio State breaks every record when it comes to paying their staff. I mean, our staff some of these guys are just ridiculously overpaid. And again, I'm not pocket watching, but it's just like, I look at the production some of these guys are putting out versus how much they're getting paid, and it's almost obscene. But with that being said, I think, you have to look at your staff pool when you're Bill O'Brien, see how much money they're going to pay your assistants. I'm sure that he's on the down low reached out to guys that he's worked with in the past, maybe some guys from the Patriots, maybe some guys from Alabama, to see if they'd have interest in forming a staff. Because, it's a two-step process. The first thing is obviously getting the job. But, while you're in the process of getting the job, it's kind of mentally forming your staff and reaching out to guys saying, hey, if I get BC, would you want to come be my line coach? Do you want to come be my defensive coordinator? Do you want to come be my OC? And again, this is all done at arm's length, because these guys usually are all either employed. Obviously, you don't have to ask a guy who's unemployed if he'd come, because of course he's going to come. He's got to feed his family. But you got to see what's the best staff he can get there, because again, it's not a job with a big upward trajectory anymore. It's been tough, and in the age of NIL, it's tougher, just because Boston College is like 10th place on the sports team in Boston. Like, they're irrelevant. So when you gotta go against the Bruins and the Red Sox and the Patriots, and it's not like being in Columbus. Ohio State is the 800-pound gorilla in Columbus, and really in Ohio. Ohio State's the best team in Ohio. It has been for 20 years. Like, the Browns have their time, the Cavs won a championship, the Reds, the Bengals, but in general, like, Ohio State is the most consistently great team in the state of Ohio. So they get a lot of money. Like, they get a lot of donors. A lot of people want to help the program. A lot of people want to buy luxury suites and tickets and donate and all that. So Boston College is not like that. So that's something you have to wait. Now, again, if you just want to live in Boston and go 6-6 or 5-7 every year, and that's your jam, that's great. But if I'm a competitive guy, and I know Bill O'Brien's ultra competitive. I'm telling you, and I know it's crazy. I'd say to Ohio State, make $2.5 million, try to win the national championship, and then launch off to like an A-list job or an NFL job. Because if he kind of reshines his star, he could be up for like a major job at a major program. We just saw Jed Fish literally just got the Washington job. Washington was just in the national championship. So, I mean, that's the kind of job I'd get excited for, not Boston College. Nevada, we talked about, the coordinators. Speaking of some movement, we had some movement with a huge part of Michigan's program. Their defensive line coach is moving on to the Los Angeles Chargers. Talk a little bit about what it means for them to lose Mike Elston. Again, I feel like the Rats are jumping off the ship. I think a lot of those guys know Sharon Moore. And again, I'm sure he's an okay whatever. But, losing Harbaugh is like taking the steering wheel off the Titanic, and they're going to hit the iceberg pretty quick here. But your thoughts on losing maybe the best or second best D-line coach in the country?
Yeah, I mean, so much to unpack here. I mean, let me just, I've got about 9 different topics on this one thing. But first of all, Harbaugh and all the talk about the brotherhood and the Michigan men and the culture and the strength. And he absolutely, leaves, which is his prerogative, and then just disintegrates the program, just takes all the key guys. This is another just humongous move for them, especially when we've talked about 4 guys, 2 of which are defensive linemen, and Graham and Grant, 2 of their best players, and now their position coach is gone, along with just about every key coach on the staff. So it's amazing how well, you've always known that Harbaugh's had no regard for anybody but himself, but there's degrees to that. Like, there's just certain things that I don't think you do. I mean, you're already leaving the program. You're going on to your dream job to pursue the Lombardi Trophy and chasing the money, but then you gut the program on your way out, and then you just burn it down. I mean, absolutely amazing. As a Michigan fan, I'd be so angry. I'd be so perplexed. We've talked about the shortest honeymoon in the history of sports has been the Michigan football national championship. I don't think I've ever seen anything like it. I don't think anybody's ever seen anything like it. The program is completely imploded, and today was a big piece though. Today we were waiting for it. We've talked about it. We'd heard rumors that this was going to happen, and then it happened. And I've talked about this I've said this expression many times, but I'll say it. It bears saying again. How did it happen? A little at first, and then all at once. And that's what's kind of happening right now with Michigan football, Matt. It is all going down the drain. And today was a big flush, maybe one of the biggest flushes of the offseason.
And again, what it says to me, because again, in the history of college football, when there's been Michigan is a true S tier, top of the food chain program, and they won a national championship. I have never seen attrition like this off of a national championship team, maybe ever. I mean, it's the head coach, the D coordinator. Obviously, they promote the offensive coordinator to head coach, the D line coach. I mean, it's last one out, Jay Harbaugh. And again, people say, well, how can that happen? Oh, maybe they just want to go coach the NFL. I'm telling you, and just from the people that Nevada and I talk to, they are going to get hammered. I mean, it's like if you're standing in the building and you're looking up at the sky and you see you're like, That looks like a nuclear bomb up there. Huh. I wonder if I could get to how quickly I could get to Los Angeles. It's like, oh, there's a flight that leaves in 5 minutes. Well, let's go get on that flight. I mean, that's what it is. Cause like these guys don't want to coach under sanctions and all this craziness is these guys are gonna get hammered by. So how do you get out? Let's go to the NFL. I mean, Jay Harbaugh went to the Seahawks. Like, I mean, it's absolute insanity, but I can't blame him. Like, and the thing about Jim Harbaugh is like, again, Urban Meyer is a guy. Urban is a visionary, and Urban kind of sees it all. And obviously, things went sideways in Jacksonville, but like with the Ohio State thing, 7-0, Urban Meyer, Pine House, all that stuff. Like he was not going to pillage Ohio State staff and screw Ryan Day, take Mickey Marotti, take Mark Pantoni, take a bunch of guys with him. Because again, they offered him the Texas Longhorn job. Like, I mean, they were at his house. The Regents were there. It was big time stuff, and like he could have had that, and he didn't, and ended up getting Tom Herman fired, which is hilarious to me. But he literally didn't want to take Mickey, and he couldn't take that job without taking Mickey Marotti. Now, if he takes that job and takes Mickey Marotti out of Ohio State's building, his 7-0 is done. Like Ohio State fans will hate it. It'll be like the Gators. Like the Florida Gator fans don't love Urban the way Ohio State fans love Urban because of how he left and everything else. And again, maybe time heals all wounds, but I think he learned a lesson there that how you leave a place is as important as how you are when you're there. And so with Ohio State and with college football, Harbaugh is like, Mr. Michigan man, Mr. Bo Schembechler, Mr. When I die, I hope that all I want him to say at my eulogy is, he was a Michigan man. I'm like, well, you just took all the good people out of the program, drained it of talent, and now you've got to go hire a bunch. Sharon Moore's got to go make a bunch of first-time hires and make a bunch of guys first-time position coaches and whatever. And that's scary, because he's not bringing in A tier talent. He's bringing in like B and C tier talent. I mean, I look at this coaching staff. I'm like, this is a massive downgrade in talent on that staff. And I'm telling you, I've nailed some of these staffs. When these people put together these staffs that aren't very talented, it usually doesn't end well. So, again, Jim Harbaugh just gave the ultimate kind of FU to Michigan and Ward Manuel by taking the best guys. I mean, that D-line coach is fantastic. I mean, you see how that D-line has played us the last 3 years now. Played Paris Johnson and DeJuan Jones and all these NFL guys we got up front. Like, they've been good. They're technically sound. They play really hard. Like, that guy's a really good coach. So again, I think it's fascinating that a guy could be a Michigan man and a guy coached in the NFL for all those years, and he still pillages Michigan's coaching staff. When he's got all these NFL guys that worked for him and played for him, and he's got a deep roster of guys that have been around him at Stanford and at San Francisco, and he still took guys that were fresh off the 23 team. And I think that's absolutely crazy. We got some super chats. I want to knock these out. Appreciate you guys as always. Matt, thank you for the 10. Appreciate you, brother. Would Dan Mullen or Joe Moorhead be options in your opinion? Love the show as always, guys. Thank you so much. We appreciate that compliment. That's awesome. I don't think Mullen at all. No chance. I just think different philosophies, especially with running the quarterback. Dan Mullen is from the Urban Meyer school of running the crap out of the quarterback, and I just don't think him and Ryan would mesh. Joe Moorhead is an exceptionally intriguing guy just because, he whooped us. When Oregon came to town in 21, he took Kerry Combs to church. I mean, it was bad. And I mean, I was in the stadium and I'm like, they ran the same play 3 times and we didn't adjust at all because we were just stuck in man defense the whole time. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, should I go up to the press box and tell these guys to play some cover 3 so that we don't just run across with this motion every time and give up 70-yard runs over and over again? But I didn't do it. I just sat there, had me a beer, had me a little popcorn. It was fine. But I was like, God bless. This is not really hard football to fix. But Joe Moorhead is very fascinating. Nevada, I don't think Mullen is a candidate. Moorhead and Chip Kelly, I think, are the A-tier guys. But your thoughts on those guys?
Again, I think Dan Mullen would be fantastic, but Dan Mullen isn't coming back to coaching. I've got a really good source with Dan Mullen, and Dan Mullen likes his life right now, just kind of seeing the other side. I would be shocked if he ever got back into coaching. Now, Joe Moorhead, really intriguing guy on the list, might be at the top of the list. So I think he's a name that we definitely should pay attention to. But it goes to show you though that Ryan Day's big game hunting on this. There was some talk last night on the show. We were kind of going back and forth about whether he would use this as an excuse to not go with an offensive coordinator. No, that ship sailed. He's going full time, going for an offensive coordinator, and I think he's going to land a big one. Again, assuming Bill O'Brien gets the Boston College job, because obviously everything we say is predicated upon him getting that Boston College job, which right now, does he have it or not have it? It's unknowable because Boston College hasn't decided. Once they decide, we'll know, we'll let you know, and then everything can proceed. But we're just going to proceed in this podcast assuming that Bill O'Brien gets the Boston College job, and that's why we're having these discussions.
Yeah, and again, that's the only way you can operate at this point because you've got, I mean, you have to. If you're Ryan, if you have a guy openly interviewing for a head coaching job, which is again, it's not a lateral move. I mean, if you're interviewing for an OC job, it's one thing. If you're interviewing for a head coaching job, that's just business as normal. I mean, and I know that this wasn't what Ryan dreamed of when he hired a guy who's looking at a job like 2 weeks later, but that's the profession, man. And I mean, I'm telling you, that's just part of it. Chris Schmidbauer, my man, how are you? I mean, one of the great legends of the Woody Hayes, Chris Schmidbauer, my boy. Thanks for the deuce. Any animosity of the staff with Bill O'Brien flirting with BC? I mean, I don't know. Anytime, here's the thing I'll say. Because again, I was whatever, but I worked with Urban Meyer. Urban Meyer's thing was that I want everyone in this room from Tom Herman and Luke Fickell, who are the coordinators, to, me and the interns and whoever, if you're in this room, in this staff room, I want all of your ambitions to be a head coach. That's it. And if you don't want to be a head coach, then get out or I'll fire you. Your ambition should be at the top of the food chain, build your own program. Cause that's what he wanted. He didn't want guys to just want to, grow roots and be stagnant. So he wanted everyone to always be pushing and scraping the nooks and crannies of your potential. If anyone else was in that room and they were a serious candidate for a head coaching job, if Keenan Bailey was up for the Akron head coaching job or something, if we hire Joe Moorhead and all of a sudden Brian Hartline is up for the Akron job or something, and again, that's completely hypothetical. But when Cincinnati came open and they said they wanted to interview Brian Hartline last year, if Brian is up for that, he's got to at least go take the interview. I mean, you can't just sit around and say, "Nah, I'm going to hold out for, Florida, Georgia, or something." You gotta take your cuts, and you got to get some at bats. And I think honestly, for young coaches, I think it's great to go through the interview process. And Bill O'Brien's been through a bunch of them, but for Al Washington to interview, even if you don't get the job, it's good to go through the process. To kind of understand, this is my pitch for Boston College. This is how I'm going to build the program. These are the first people I'm going to contact for my staff. These are the donors I'm going to reach out to. Here's my recruiting pitch. Because those are the things you have to express to the athletic director and the president of the school. They're sitting there and they say, "Okay, Kirk, how would you build Ohio State?" I'm like, "Well, here's the first 50 donors I'm calling because we need a new facility. Worse than anyone in the entire country right now. We need a new football building. It's insane that we don't have one. So I'm going to go raise the money myself. I know exactly who I'm going to call, and I'm going to go beg these guys for it. I'll go play golf. I'll go to their house. I'll eat dinner with them. I'll probably weigh 600 pounds because I'll be eating so many steaks. But hey, it's all good as long as we get a new Woody Hayes." So, that's part of the pitch. And again, I don't think you can have animosity if guys are getting interviewed for jobs where they jump. Now if it's a lateral thing, if I'm an offensive line coach at Ohio State and I got to go interview for the offensive line coach at Tennessee, that's one thing. But if they want me to be the offensive coordinator at Tennessee or the head coach at Tennessee, that's a different thing. So, again, that's the profession. It's the most fluid profession on earth. Guys, again, honestly, and I'm just gonna be real transparent because I love you guys. That's why I got out of it, because I wanted to build a house and I want to stay in my house and I want to have nice stuff in my house. If you're a coach, you rent or you build a house and you know that you're going to be out of it in 2 or 3 years because either you're getting fired or you're getting a better job. So that's how it is. So every year there's 2 or 3 guys that are in that staff room at the start of the year that ain't going to be there next year. Nevada, your thoughts on animosity with the staff with Bill O'Brien interviewing with Boston College? And thanks for the question, Chris.
Yeah, I'm not sensing any of that. And as you said, I mean, let's face it, and I say this in the nicest sense of the word, but the profession is it's a profession that's dominated by mercenaries. I mean, you're mercenaries to the job until you get to the next job. And Urban Meyer knows that. Urban Meyer knows that he wanted to have a group of killers that all wanted to be major college head coaches out there, and that means bettering yourself. And I just think that's kind of the mentality. And so I don't think anybody could really be mad at someone like Bill O'Brien that where he's from there, and the job's going to probably pay him millions of dollars more per year, whatever number that is, to be a head coach for Boston College. Now, I haven't sensed any animosity. Now, but let's acknowledge the circumstances are weird. Now you can say, oh, the job wasn't available 2 weeks ago or whatever, but it's a weird situation. But I think he'd probably get more animus from the fan base and from the staff, because I think the staff kind of understands and kind of lives with that life.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, they're all in that life. I mean, they're all in the, hey, this can happen. I mean, nothing can change faster than, like a coaching staff. Again, like when Urban Meyer resigned, and they did the cute little video where they hand Ryan Day the whistle. Here's the whistle, Ryan. Like all of a sudden, like Greg Schiano, like a month later is out of a job. If Urban's still there, Schiano's still the DC. That's his guy. So, like things can change on a dime in that profession, and it's not always your fault. It's just a circumstance. And again, I mentioned Al Washington. Al Washington was offered the Tennessee defensive coordinator job like 3 years ago, and like was gonna take it, and then he got talked out of it by Ryan Day. And then I've done a lot for you, Al. Stay here. And then like a year later, when our linebackers were terrible, like Al gets fired. We bring in Jim Knowles because Jim Knowles is you can't have Al and Jim Knowles because they're both linebacker coaches. So, like again, Al Washington stayed and his linebackers were terrible. And then all of a sudden, he gets fired. So a year after he turns down being a DC in the SEC as like a 35-year-old or 36-year-old or whatever it was, he gets whacked and he's on the street. So again, things can change. Attitudes can change. So again, if a guy's trying to better himself and take care of his family, God bless him, because this is not the profession for the faint of heart. Philip Bilaki, appreciate you, MD. Thank you for being a Scoop Ultra member. Thank you for the 5, my friend. Any chance D-line from there following the coach leaving coming to us? I don't think so. There's again, here's the thing. It could happen. And honestly, I think this is something that is huge with the Michigan portal kids. They're going to go through winter conditioning and go through spring ball with a new coach. So these D linemen are really good. And you got to understand, like, if these guys hit the portal, some of these guys are going to make like over $1 million in NIL money. So, if these guys are like, well, I want my lasting memory of Michigan to be winning a championship, and now I want to go hit free agency and go see what's out there. And the foundation comes up with money, or somewhere, the Texas Longhorns or whoever. Like, again, there's a part of me that's like, do I want my lasting memory of Michigan to be hoisting the trophy and 15-0 and the greatest Michigan team of all time, or do I want it to be this sanction riddled, it's a body like riddled with cancer type season? I mean, I'd rather enjoy the 15-0 and then go try to win another national championship elsewhere and better my career. But again, they got to replace the D-line coach, and a lot of these kids, like, they might really like their coach, and then they might get a guy that they absolutely hate. So, they've got that 30-day window now, but you have to watch that window after spring, because if some of these guys don't like whoever they bring in as the new D-line coach, then, sayonara. They can go elsewhere and go, make a little pocket change and have, have a chance to win a national championship. Nevada, your thoughts on the Michigan transfer portal D linemen?
Oh, I think they're absolutely 100% in play. They were 100% in play before he left, and now he's left. So I don't know what's above 100%. I'll give 110% or whatever it is. But no, I think they're absolutely. I mean, think about it from their standpoint. They're sitting around, they're being pitched, hey, let's be loyal, let's stay here, and then you look around and everybody's gone. Everybody is gone. So they're going to go. At some point, you realize it's like when you're at the card game and you're looking for the mark, and then you realize that you're the mark. Well, these guys are sitting around the table looking for who's loyal. Everybody else is on the ship sailing away, and these guys are sitting here holding the bag. So I think they're 100% in play. I think this could very well have been the straw that breaks the camel's back. He was key to keep those. Those guys loved him. He coached them up really well, and I think that this bears very very close watching both in this portal period as well as the second one. But I think it could happen sooner than later. So keep an eye on that.
I mean, you have to understand. It's like, these guys. Again, it's just like the brotherhood. And again, I have best friends that I played with at Ohio State and great friends at Ohio State. Some of my best mentors, guys that are father figures to me from Ohio State. But like the brotherhood's just marketing because not everyone there is your brother. And it's like when they say, "Oh, we're Michigan men," and who's got it better than us, and it's great to be a Michigan Wolverine and all that. It's like that's great, but obviously it ain't that great because your head coach left, your DC left, your D line coach left, your tight ends coach left, and fresh off of winning a national championship, and they all just said, "You know what? Who's got it better than us? Let's head to the left coast and go check out LA. Oh, they've got it way better than us because they've got an In-N-Out burger." Shot clock Todd, thanks for the 5. Appreciate you. Does the transfer portal actually protect Ryan Day's job so that all these great 5-stars don't do the same thing that happened in Tuscaloosa? Well, the foundation has stepped up and just killed the game right now with NIL, and Ryan has done a great job of fundraising for NIL. So between the two of them, I think it helps because again, I think if something happened, say, something crazy happened and Ryan Day's gone, and all of a sudden Brian Hartline is gone, then all of a sudden, it's kind of like open season like it was at Alabama. Because again, Caleb Downs was the guy, he wanted to go and play for Nick Saban, not the D coordinator, not the safeties coach, Nick Saban. Because Nick Saban is the greatest defensive coach who's ever lived. He's the greatest defensive backs coach who's ever lived, specifically safeties. So, if you're Caleb Downs and you've got one shot at this thing to go make, $50 million as an NFL free safety, then that's the guy. And again, I never would fault, when people say, "Oh, how could you ever, oh my God, we lost this safety to Bama." I'm like, well, yeah, like if my kid was a star safety, I'd send him to play for Nick Saban too. I mean, God, who's going to develop him better than that guy? But again, when that all blew up, and again, this is why, if you want to project out what's happening at Michigan, when all these guys left Alabama and they brought in this new defensive staff, I was like, if I'm Caleb Downs, do I want to trust the development of my career to these guys? And again, I look at resumes, I look at who they've coached, I looked at who they've put into the NFL, how high of draft picks they've created, and I'm like, I ain't trusting those guys. Are you crazy? You can come to Ohio State, you're playing on a loaded team where you don't have to do everything. We're gonna have a good pass rush. And that is the path to success. We play in a safety again. The great people they make fun of Jim Knowles for saying we play safety driven defense, 3 safeties. That's a great selling point to the best safety in the entire country. Hey, our whole defense revolves around our safeties, and you're the best safety in the country. So we're gonna make you the focal point of the entire defense. Great, awesome pitch, good. But I think the portal. You gotta just take care of your roster, take care of your guys. And that includes, a little roster upkeep, little bonuses for guys and find a little scratch for some of these guys, that are the mid-tier guys to keep your depth. And we've been pretty good at that. Nevada, your thoughts, does the transfer portal actually protect Ryan Day's job so that all these great 5-stars don't do the same thing that happened in Alabama?
Well, I'm going to just give you the reality here. If Ryan Day left, it would devastate the OSU roster. If Ryan Day left, now if Ryan Day left without a succession plan, without a guy that they immediately handed the next whistle to, it would be cataclysmic. If Ryan Day left, it would be really, really, really bad. That's just the facts. So as a fan, are we hostage to Ryan Day, or does he have ultimate authority? No, but I'm just telling you, be careful what you wish for, because if Ryan was gone, man, it would be open season. We would become Alabama. Ohio State's on sale. Everybody's jumping on our carcass right now, picking at us. Guys that are leaving, coaches are leaving, players are leaving, and it would take a while to right the ship. So, from my standpoint, I'm hoping that I sadly, because I know the history of Ohio State, I know that day's going to come at some point. I just hope that day doesn't come for a long time. Because when it does happen, it's not going to be a pleasant time, and we're going to have to go through a lot of transition, and I don't want to do that anytime soon.
Yeah, and again, the good thing about Ryan is he's young. He's young. He's well paid. He's got a loaded roster. Or NIL strong. Everything about it's strong. So it's going to take something like ultra compelling to get Ryan out of here. So I think we're in good shape. And same like Brian Hartline. Like Brian Hartline, if something happened and he became an NFL offense coordinator or something of that nature, like that room would be in jeopardy. But Brian likes it here, and he's paid exceptionally well for being basically a wide receivers coach with an offensive coordinator title. So again, I think it's something that we're lucky that we've got such good infrastructure in place for the program. But I don't really sweat it because we went from Truss to Luke to Urban to Ryan. And I think that with what's built in around the program, we're going to be strong for a really long time. Ohio
No,
7-7.
no, hold on. Before
What?
you go there, I just want to say, just remember, all those transitions were during a different time with portal and transfer and everything else. So it's like this next transition is going to be unlike anything that we've gone through before. And again, will it be cataclysmic? Will it be the end of days? No, of course. We're Ohio State. We'll make it through. But man, we didn't have to face that with those guys because you didn't have on demand. You couldn't even transfer inside the Big Ten. Remember, the rules, and now it's like, oh man. So let's hope that doesn't happen anytime soon. But I interrupted you, so go ahead.
No, you're good. Ohio 7715, my man. Appreciate you. I hope that you are getting it done, getting your work done. Thank you for the 50, brother. Look at our roster this year. We will be great with or without Bob. I could not agree more. The Buckeyes will do what the Buckeyes do. Michael Jordan doesn't care what the guy at the end of the bench does. Exactly. I told you, bro. OH, Nevada.
I-O.
So I was texting with our guy right here, and he is getting it done, man. He is fixing a leak under a house tonight during the show. But he's on the Bluetooth, baby. So we appreciate you, brother. Thanks, Dev. You're the best, man. Get it done, man. And again, I'm glad that you're listening to us. And I hope that like the pipe doesn't bust because we make you laugh too hard and like the wrench gets messed up or whatever. But I appreciate you so much, my man. You've been awesome to get to know. Scoop Hall of Famer too. David Fennell, thanks for the 5. Oh God, I love this. Jim Jones, Harbaugh, I love it. All these loyal cultists drinking the Kool-Aid and it's poison the whole time. Serves those arrogant bastards right. I love that. Yeah, I mean, who's got it better than us? And enthusiasm unknown to mankind and all the rest. But I mean, again, like the most disingenuous thing I've ever seen was when he's at that pep rally with Ward Manuel, and Ward, who looks like Jabba the Hutt, points over and he says, "And I'm working hard to get that man extended." And like Jim Harbaugh goes, "Yeah." And I'm going to find that clip. And I'm going to put it on here tomorrow. Cause like, I was like, what? That's the most disingenuous thing I've ever seen in my life. I was like, that dude doesn't want to be here. I mean, Nevada was putting money down in the beginning of December that he was going to be the LA Chargers coach. It was like the worst. It was, if you're a member of Buckeye Scoop and you listen to our podcast, because of Nevada, it was the worst kept secret on earth because he was breaking it and saying, guys, put your money down on this, man. This is free cash. This is like hitting free parking in Monopoly if you play house rules. And that's what it was. So again, Nevada, how disingenuous is Jim Harbaugh?
Well, I have to take exception with the Jim Jones example because Jim Jones actually killed himself. On this one, Harbaugh left the plane and everybody died of the Kool-Aid out there or something like that. He jumped on the airliner and let them all drink the Kool-Aid and die out there with the people out there in the jungle of Guyana. But Harbaugh's living large on the left coast right now. So Harbaugh has completely screwed them. He has left them with looming nuclear NCAA infractions coming down the pike at them, and torch the staff. They've got their team's not great. It's not like he's been recruited at a really super high level right now. So I mean, everything about it is it better or worse shape than it? They've got the memories, and I think the NCAA is going to take the memories too. So Jim. Like I said, I wish he was as honorable as Jim Jones because at least Jim Jones had the guts to take his own life there in Guyana. Jim Harbaugh got the heck out of the thing, and he's now living in a street somewhere down on the beach right now in a mobile home or something like that.
He does not care at all about Michigan football right now.
Not a thing.
Not a shred. Not a shred. That's the best part is like just no cares. He probably won't even watch a Michigan game next year. Karis Washington, thanks for being a Scoop Ultra member. Appreciate you, brother. So what the Team of North defensive players do you think will jump into the portal? Oh, and my father loved The Mummy. Named me after Prince Karis, The Mummy. That is awesome. God, I love the name. I think that the D line, Kenneth Graham, I mean, those D tackles they got are really good. I mean, I'd take both of them in a heartbeat. Those are the guys I'd watch because, again, it all comes down to who do they replace them with and do they like them. And so, when these guys have, there's a term that a lot of these guys, it's going to be their money year, as in they're going to the league, they're going to either declare early or they're a senior. And so if they don't trust, because again, you got to understand, like, not only did these guys lose their position coach, but the big one is they lost their strength coach. So that strength coach they had was awesome. I mean, he did a great job. And I mean, those guys were in great shape and they played hard. And so you lose your strength coach and your position coach. That's like losing those two guys are really more important than the head coach. So, I just think that when you do all of this, I mean, it's open season. Because again, you've got one shot, you got 10 months basically where you got to get it developed as thoroughly and to as high of a level as possible. And that's got to be a cohesive deal between a strength coach and a position coach. And if you believe that this new strength coach, who was like the number 2 guy, and this new, whoever they hire as the D-line coach isn't going to get you there, then you got to go look around. And again, with the benefit of NIL, you could land at a place where, there's a guy that's just a monster developer of defensive linemen. And then, you could get paid some NIL money. And, I would like, that's what I would evaluate. Like, it's like if I'm looking around and I'm like, okay, say Ohio, I'm at Ohio State, I'm all Big Ten as a junior and something terrible happens and whatever. Like I'm looking for who's the best offensive line coach in the country, who's going to develop me. I've got to play. I can start right away and he's got a good strength coach. Like this is what you got to do. I mean, you got to take care of yourself. And again, it's just business. I mean, and again, you can say, oh, well, aren't you loyal to the old college team? Nobody is loyal. Like, are you kidding me? Like, Jim Harbaugh is like Mr. Michigan. Jim Harbaugh's dad coached there. He was a ball boy when he's 5 years old. He played for Bo Schembechler, coached at Michigan as the head coach, won a national championship, and he just gave him the double bird like he's stone cold and just walked off. So, don't talk to me about loyalty. You got to talk about opportunity and an ability to get yourself to the highest level, because that's what I think it takes. Nevada, your thoughts on what guys you think could jump into the portal from Michigan?
Yeah, I mean, well, look, those two different, Graham and Grant for sure. I mean, you talk about their strength coach, you talk about their position coach, also their DC. I mean, literally, like everybody that they interacted with. And their head coach. But other than that, everybody's still here, guys. It's like it's literally like everybody that they interacted with on a daily, weekly, or monthly basis is gone. And they're headed, like you said, they're heading into a thing where they're facing an opportunity to make generational wealth for not only themselves but their family and everybody that goes past them. And they're putting it in the hands of people that have never done it before, have never done it at this level. So I think those guys, I thought they were very, very much in play before today. I think they're absolutely mega uber in play after today. So definitely keep an eye out on that.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, I skipped one. I'll get to you, Travis, next. Jeff Rittenhouse, thank you for the 5. Appreciate you, brother. Do not underestimate the level of care his son needs. If it lessens the load on his wife, everyone should hope be a LeBron beast jump. I completely get that. Completely understand that. His son has a completely debilitating disease. If you guys watched Hard Knocks, I watched all the episodes of Hard Knocks where he was the head coach. They did a little 5 to 8 minute segment on it. It's awful. Again, like it's something, you don't wish that on anyone's children, but there's a lot of people that deal with something that's it's tough. Obviously, he loves his family, loves his wife, loves his, all that. But he's also coached at Alabama. He's coached, the Houston Texans. So, again, I get the pull of BC and the hospitals and all that, but when you're in coaching, you're not the greatest family guy just because you're just by definition never around. You're like a sales guy that travels, you're working 80 hours a week. So you're not like the guy that's going to be at the recitals and the guy who's going to be at the third grade basketball game and the volleyball game and the hockey match or hockey game, whatever. So, I mean, like I get it, but if he's at Boston College or if he's at Ohio State, like he still is going to be working 80 hours a week. And it's even more with NIL fundraising and that type of deal. But, again, I totally respect, Boston College. That's where the hospital is. Take care of the kid. I get that. But he's moved around a lot. Like, I mean, he was the offensive coordinator for Nick Saban at Bama. That's not Boston. Houston Texans, not Boston. And again, I'm totally sympathetic to the plight that his son is in. And again, it's something that I think it's a big strain on the parents to give care to a 21-year-old kid. So I completely get that. And honestly, if he gets the job, fantastic. If that makes his family's life better, fantastic. Again, but if he's here, also fantastic. Like, we've got great hospitals here in Central Ohio and Columbus. So, again, I just know that it's tough, and I get that aspect, but I mean, it's coaching, man. I mean, coaching. The thing about coaching is you never know where you're going to be working at. I mean, you can say, "Ooh, I want to be at Ohio State," but Corey Dennis, who I love to death, who's married to Nikki Meyer, Urban Meyer's daughter, he's been here for like 7 years, and he just took a job at Utah. So, they have a really nice house, and obviously, Coach Meyer, I'm sure, hooked him up with a wedding present. But and Nikki's got a great job in town. But they're packing it all up to move to Utah to work for Kyle Whittingham as an offensive analyst. So that's just part of it. I mean, you got 3 young kids, and they're all going to have to leave their schools, and Nikki's going to have to quit her job, and kind of away we go. So that's just part of the gig. I mean, you got to kind of go where the money takes you. And Bill O'Brien's made enough money where he could retire and never really worry about anything ever again. But, just kind of is what it is. Nevada, your thoughts on the care and going to BC to take care of his son?
Yeah, I mean, look, with Bill O'Brien, when Bill O'Brien was announced to Ohio State, I was over the moon excited. If he goes to Boston College, I'm telling you, you will never hear a bad word from me about Bill O'Brien. I'll wish him well, and we'll go on to the next thing. Ohio State's going to be fine. Ohio State's going to be fine in 2024 and beyond. And Bill O'Brien's going to be fine. Like I said, Bill O'Brien's got more money now in the bank than he could ever spend. And he's doing what he thinks is right for him. Everybody, at the end of the day, operates in their own self-interest, especially in coaching. And, look, he may be here, he may not be here. And I like I said, I think what he's doing with his family is completely admirable. And like I said, I have not walked a mile in his moccasins, so far be it for me to judge him. So God bless him.
And as always, I have to give a shout out to our boy Tora. Stay strapped. Stay golden. I got the gold out. So appreciate you, Tora, holding it down in the chat. Show Tora some love in the chat. He's working. But he said, I love when you got the strap out. We call the belt the strap. So shout out to my boy Tora. Stay golden, brother. I appreciate you so much. Holding it down. He is an absolute great. He's a gift from God, because the way he handles this chat has made this show 1,000 times better. So guys, give Tora love. He is the best. And we talk every night. So I appreciate you, brother, for all that you do for us and for being just an absolute monster part of what we do on this show. So thank you. Travis Hall, thank you for the 5, my brother. I appreciate you. Looking forward to meeting you as well when you drop off the barrelheads and coasters. Go Bucks, Nevada. So Travis makes these really cool bales, or like these wood, like the end of like a barrel, and he's putting the Buckeye Scoop logo on it. So I'm going to show you guys it, and I will plug his website and his company. So if you guys have a company, or you've got like your little bar in the basement or whatever, and you want to put like your last name on it, he does that. They look awesome. I'm ultra excited and hyped about it. So I'll get the name, number, the website, and you guys can check it out. But it's slick, and I'm going to hang it up in my office, and I'm really excited about that. So thank you, brother. John A., thank you for the 5. Does Fryer slide over to guard, and do we currently have a right tackle that could take his position? That is probably the second biggest question of spring ball. The number one question is, how good is Will Howard, and can he, really run the show, which I think he can. I think he's a really freaky athlete, and he's done really well. The second question is, how do we manage the right side of the offensive line? Because the left side is pretty much etched in stone. Josh Simmons is killing it in winter conditioning. I got a nice update today. I should have another one hopefully Thursday. But he looks great. Donnie Jackson is trying to be an All-American this year, so he's putting in work. Center, I mean, obviously we have like a little battle there with Seth McLaughlin, Carson Hinsman. Right guard. I know Josh Fryer wants to play right guard. Josh Fryer is a guy that, he did a great, I thought he did a great job at right tackle last year. Now, he gave up some sacks, but he also, he's a little he's kind of like me. He's like a shorter armed guy playing outside on the edge, but, he pass blocked well enough. And they got to figure out, can Luke Montgomery do it? Is he nasty enough to do it? Which is the big question mark. George Fitzpatrick is a big kid. Tigra's a big kid. They're both young. They've got to make big strides. And again, the great thing is every day that these guys rotate as the first team right tackle during spring ball, they got to go see Jack Story and JT2 Maloa. So it's kind of like if you're like a baseball, you're a baseball player, you're a position player, and you have to go take at bats, and you have to like face like Pedro Martinez in like 1997 when he's throwing gas and he's the best pitcher in history. That's what it's going to be like every day. So, you got to eat your Wheaties when you go to see Jack Sawyer and JT2 Malala. But again, that's good for Ryan Day because you're going to get a good hard look at how good these guys are pass protecting, because the right tackle's pass protection is the most important thing they have to develop and find out during the spring. Do we have a right tackle that can pass? Because you can find guards. It's a lot easier to help a guard than it is a tackle, in my opinion. But where do you play Josh Fryer? I mean, do you play Carson Hinsman at right guard and keep Fryer at right tackle? So you got to kind of figure that out as fast as possible and get guys in the right seats. So that's my opinion. Nevada, anything on Josh Fryer you'd like to add?
No, I just want to throw one more name in there, Zen Mikulski. I mean, I like Zen a lot. I think he's a guy that can play a number of different positions, but I think he's going to throw his hat in the ring for that right tackle spot as well. And he's a good player, man. Big kid, good player, long, great in pass protection. So I'm excited about that. I'm not as anxious about that as a lot of people are. I'm excited about that right side battle. And as you said, I mean, dropping Carson Hinsman in there. So you basically have, 5 guys on the line. If you went to guard and you left Fryer at tackle, you'd have 5 guys that started 14 games on. You'd have 70 starts just from last year on your offensive line, and that's a pretty good spot to be in.
No, I totally agree. St. Pete Buckeye, thanks for the 10. Appreciate you. Love this podcast. Appreciate you, my friend. Again, we work on this thing now. We want this thing to be awesome, so we appreciate you guys tuning in and kicking it with us. And never miss. Is there a chance that Day moves forward with another OC, even if Bob doesn't get the BC job? What's the ideal time frame for Day? Program comes first, right? Nevada, your thoughts on that, and then I'll give mine.
Well, on the time, I want to make sure I'm responsive. Is there a chance that he moves forward with a different OC, even if Bill O'Brien,
does not get the BC job?
No, Bill O'Brien's the guy. It's all going to be wrapped up by this weekend. It's all going to. We'll all know by Sunday. By Sunday night, we'll know if Bill O'Brien's staying or going. And Ryan's burning the phones up right now to kind of line up his next guy. If Bill O'Brien does get that job, it won't be long till it's filled. It's still February, so we got a long time to go. Certainly, we're not even obviously into spring football by definition, let alone summer conditioning, let alone fall camp, let alone fall football. So I think we've got a long way to go, but it'll all be wrapped by this weekend. So stay tuned.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's going to be, again, this isn't going to be like months or weeks. This is literally going to be days. And, and again, they're going to cut from 4 to 2. And there's going to be, it's kind of like in the final 4, there's 4 candidates now. They're going to cut to 2 and do a final round of interviews, and then they're going to select the coach. So we're going to know by Saturday, in my opinion. And they're not going to announce it the day of the Super Bowl, because that's stupid, because it'll steal all the thunder. But, I think it's going to be pretty quick. But I think the program comes first, but again, it's coaching, and guys are going to, you want guys in your coaching staff and in that room to be desired by other programs. Because if you have a bunch of guys that nobody wants to interview, then that's probably an indictment of how poor your staff is. So, you want guys that people want and covet, because that means you've got a good staff. And a guy like Bill O'Brien, Ryan Day knew when he hired Bill O'Brien, this is the guy who's coached at Bama under Nick Saban. So he's been hired by Nick Saban. He's been hired by Bill Belichick multiple times. So, I mean, that's a coveted resume. And again, I thought it was good with the Texans. Now, at the end, the wheels fell off when when Deshaun Watson got suspended, the wheels kind of fell off everything down there. But, when he was healthy, they were good. I mean, they were a playoff team like 4 out of 6 years. So that's pretty good. Pete Nassif, thanks for the 10. Does the stuff going on with Laurinaitis' dad affect him being elevated to full-time LB coach? Well, James Laurinaitis' dad sadly passed away. He was a member of the Legion of Doom / Road Warriors. It's his uncle that is kind of embroiled in the WW stuff. It doesn't affect James at all. Obviously, it's embarrassing for the family name, but that doesn't affect his coaching potential because it's not the same deal. But it's just not it's not a factor. Nevada, do you agree?
Yeah, no, that won't be. I mean, it wouldn't have been a factor if it was his dad, but like you said, rest in peace. It's not his dad; it's his uncle, and yeah, that won't even be an issue.
Yeah. Um, my man, Ohio 7715. It's weird calling you that now that I know your name and we talk all the time. Thanks for the deuce, brother. Nevada, he forgot OH.
I-O.
Nevada, the IO guy. I appreciate you, brother. You're the best. Adam Dare. I don't know if it's Dare or Dare, but Dare. Thanks for the 10. From what you're hearing from your sources, what's coming from the NCAA, and are you hearing the national championship could get taken away as a part of the sanctions, or will wins be vacated? Show cause? Nevada, I'll let you take that because you're the guy who's got the best sources on that. Maybe, actually, no, actually in the entire country. So go ahead and go on that.
Yeah, I mean, show cause for sure. You just saw what the Alabama baseball coach got, like some sort of like 60-year show cause with if he
Oh
ever
my
came
God.
back to coach. And again, do yourself a favor, Google Alabama baseball coach show cause and see what he got. And then, that was for gambling on games, and they looked at that like really really sternly. Well, this is way worse. This is actually fixing what happens on the field and affecting competitive balance that way. So, yeah, there will be show causes involved. There'll definitely be wins vacated. Um, they didn't stop cheating. Stallions wasn't fired until November, so all the games in September and October have to be vacated. And if those games, even if one of those is vacated, they wouldn't even have qualified for the playoff, let alone the national championship. So I think that ultimately goes down as well. So yeah, I think it's going to be bad. And look, you don't have to believe me, but just look at what's happening at Michigan. Everyone's gone.
No.
Everyone's leaving. There's a reason for that. It's not just, oh well, it just happy to. They're leaving because they know what's coming, and the Michigan guys know they're acting. I always say, don't watch what they do, not what they say. They're all leaving. They know what's coming, and I think it's all going to be wiped out. And I think the Michigan program. I thought they've always been kind of irrelevant for a long time. I think they're just going to be going back to being that. They'll be like Purdue or something like that, or maybe Michigan State. Something that they'll rise up every 6 or 7 years and have a decent team. But no, this is going to be bad, really, really bad.
Yeah, and I pulled up what Bohannon, he's the coach. Brad Bohannon, 3 years probation. This is hilarious. A $5,000 fine, which is nothing. 15-year show cause. And if he gets hired by another institution, which will never happen, literally he's suspended for 5 straight years, 5 straight seasons. So he's never getting another job in college sports ever again. No one's gonna say, here's our new manager and we'll see him in 6 years because he has to sit out for 5 for cheating. But this is a great line. So you guys can pay attention. If there's nothing else that you listen to on this show, pay attention to this line. This is directly from Vince Nicasto, the Deputy Commissioner and Chief Operating Officer of the Big East and Chief Hearing Officer for the panel that did this NCAA these damages. Integrity of games is of the utmost importance to NCAA members, and the panel is deeply troubled by Bohannon's unethical behavior. Coaches, student athletes, and administrators have access to information deemed valued with those involved in betting, improperly sharing that information for purposes of sports betting. And again, betting or stealing signals, sending Connor Stallions to go scout games and like illegally. Like, again, when you say integrity of games is of the utmost importance to NCAA members, that strikes right to the heart of the Michigan matter. And what they did, again, and seeing the cookies that have the gambling sites, again, firing the linebacker coach like on a Friday afternoon. I mean, like the stuff that was going on there was completely insane. And again, Connor Stallions, did the Henry Hill where he didn't talk. You didn't rat. He didn't rat. But again, when you don't cooperate with the NCAA, that's like that's the double bird, go screw yourself type mentality. And it's like, again, I'm not in the position to ever work for be in but it's like I think coming clean, begging for mercy, beg for forgiveness is the best path. I don't think telling the NCAA to go f off is going to do anything other except get the hammer of God striking you over the head. But your thoughts on that, Nevada? Because again, I think that when there's these precedences that talk about integrity, and again, because what they did was they violated integrity when they sent when they say you cannot go scout games in person the way they were doing it and film signals, like that strikes right to the heart of what was in this ruling. Your thoughts on that?
Well, yeah, and like I said, you made a great point. The one way to mitigate it is with outstanding cooperation, contrition, other things. And Michigan took the opposite tack. The Stallions took the opposite. I mean, Stallions thought he was so clever by going, "I'm not going to cooperate with you." Well, from the NCAA perspective, that's going to make the punishment 3 times as bad. So
Oh,
all this, this posturing and Ono with his bet and all that stupid. So remember that you have a president of a university go bet. What the you're the biggest moron. You and Hortman, you guys are just the biggest buffoons, and you burned your program down, dude. And as Michigan fans, you should be mad as heck that this guy is leading your school. But no, they like I said, they had one chance to mitigate this, and that was cooperation, and they chose the other way. They flipped him the bird, and but they're going to pay. There's always a time when the music stops and the bill comes due, and
yep.
that time's now. That time's now. The lights are coming up, and all the confetti's on the ground, and it's time, boys. Yep. Let's go.
I'm telling you, like I've seen this movie before, man. And if you just because a classic one was like USC with the Reggie Bush thing. They locked the doors when the NCAA showed up. They did not let them. So they got hammered like into oblivion, and they haven't been the same since. So that's what is going to happen to Michigan, because what Michigan did was worse. I mean, Reggie Bush taking money is like nothing compared to what Michigan was doing. But great question, Adam. Again, appreciate you. Exhibition Greg, my man, how are you? Love you tagging us on Twitter. Keep doing that. I always love reading what you have to say. Any big names to look for tomorrow's National Signing Day? Dominic Kirks, I mean, he's the only guy that we got who hasn't signed yet. So I guess he's been waiting around, but he's the only guy we got. It's amazing that tomorrow is National Signing Day, and it's like you almost don't even realize it because everybody's already signed, and most of our class is already working out at the Woody Hayes under Mickey Marotti. So yeah, but it's going to be Dominic Kirks. So the signing day should take about 2 minutes, and that's that. One fax, and away we go. I don't think that we're in the mix for any other guys, but I could be shocked. But I think most of the big dogs in modern college football sign in December, and they're there 2 weeks later on campus working out. And that is the way for all these kids that say for the next 3 to 4 years. And again, that's key. Because all of these kids want to be 3 and out. They all want to be 3 and out, going to the league as juniors. That's the meta. So they say for the next 3 to 4 years, I'm going to be at Ohio State. So that means they want to graduate, January, or December, and then be on campus January 3rd or whatever, so that they can start their clock and get acclimated to what college football is. Because if you don't show up till June, you're way behind the 8 ball. Like Lincoln Keenholz didn't show up till June. That's really hard, especially for a quarterback or a position guy. Someone that doesn't like some of the easier positions like cornerback and running back, and they're not easier from a technical or a physical standpoint. But if you're a good corner and you can cover man to man, then you have got good technique. Like you're good. It's not real complicated to say I got the guy right across from me and I have to guard him. Like that's easy. Playing running back is easy. It's hard. It's hard physically because you're going to get beat up, but the plays aren't like, it's not rocket science to be, I got to pass block or I got to run, this way or that way or whatever. They can refine your technique, but it ain't like playing O-line or linebacker. Say, some of the other positions where there's a lot more nuance to learning the playbook. So that's that, but I appreciate you, brother, as always. Bryce Baker, thank you for the 5. Appreciate you, my man, as always. Again, if you have a chat, throw that in there, and I'll try to look for it. Sean, thank you for the 5. Let me get that up there. Apologize. Stay up there. Thank you. Thanks for the 5, brother. Appreciate you. Legitimately, UM may have double-digit wins for the next 5. May not have double digits for the next 5 seasons. Yikes! Harbaugh is the definition of a narcissist, and I love it. Well, he's something. I don't know. He could be a narcissist. I think he's just in love with himself. I just think he's a weird dude. But again, I respect him. And again, you guys are gonna say, "Oh, Kirk, how could you ever say that?" But he is all football. There's nothing else he cares about. He wears the same stuff every day. He's like the chick from God, what was the girl that invented like the blood thing that didn't work? But she wore like the same black turtleneck every day. It's kind of funny because I wear the same thing every day for the show. But he is what he is. They knew what he was. He kind of went out on a heater. Beat Ohio State 3 times, won a national championship. But yeah, he left them in a steaming pile of dung, and it sucks. But hey, they knew what they were getting into bed with. And again, when they cut that man's salary in half, that was eye-opening to say the least. Nevada, is Jim Harbaugh in definition narcissist?
I just think he literally lacks empathy. He just doesn't have it. He has no idea what's going on with other people. He just lives in his own little world, and that serves him well as a coach. He's got that focus as a coach, but I don't even think he realizes what he's done. I mean, I don't think he's off. Now he's focused on the Chargers and doing his thing, and so he has no compunction about I'll gut their staff and I'll take all their key guys, and wow, what's that going to do to him on the way? Like that stuff does not even register for him. But and I mean that sincerely. I think that's just who he is, and that's how he's wired. But as a Michigan fan, it sucks. But it sucks for you guys.
Hey, I mean, I'll let you know the first time I feel bad for Michigan. Yeah. Tora, my man, what's up, brother? Thanks for the 50. Kirk, what's the 411, my brother? Stay golden and stay strapped. Always. I appreciate you, my man. Much love to the big homie Nevada Buck, and of course, all the family Buckeye Scoop chat. Keeping it super litty, your brother, Tora. Tora, you're the best, my man. I appreciate you so much. You are a godsend, and I'm glad I was able to hook you and Devin up so you guys can kick it. That's kind of been the beautiful thing about this is like people are like, hey, let's meet up. Hey, let's have a scoop get together. Hey, let's get together. Let's start to. So it's like it's kind of cool how people that like don't really know each other, but they hang out with this every night, become friends. Because you guys talk to each other every night, and it's just like it's awesome. And again, that's kind of like our message board. It's like that. If like I said, if you guys like this chat, the message board is like this, like the other 22, the other 22 and a half hours of the day. Like the message board is like this. So it's just a nonstop, just blast. It's like Cosmopolitan Las Vegas. Like it's always cracking. There's always fun stuff going on. It never sleeps. And that's what's amazing about it is it's like, I'll get up at 4 a.m. and there's people on there posting, talking about Bill O'Brien or talking about JJ Smith or Jamie French or whatever. And it's unbelievable how fun it is. All right. Nevada, anything for Tora, our boy?
Nah, just Tora. You're just such a valuable part of this. We talk about this as being a community. This is a community, and you're a huge part of the community. You're a huge part of what makes this special. And for all you guys, as Kirk's talking about the message board, like our message board isn't a burn board. It's not a board like a typical message board where people go to insult each other or to say things or swear or do. I mean, it's like a high-end social club with really cool people that are having really cool jobs and really great experiences that you can learn from. And a guy like Tora is just like, we're just so blessed to have met him and have him part of this. So God bless you, Tora, and thanks for being here. And I'm going to give you an extra IO just for you because you're our first ballot Hall of Famer. So God bless you, Tora.
Yeah, I appreciate you, brother. I love it. Okay, let's go. No regrets. Appreciate you. Thanks for the 50, my friend. Do players get together and help each other learn the skills that they're better at and share ideas on how to get better? Or are they too alpha to admit they could use help in certain areas? Are the better players willing to teach them? That is a great question. And again, I was always of the mindset like, look, if I can teach a guy to be better than me and he's better than me and it makes the team better, I'm fine with it. Because then I can just chill on the sideline, eat sunflower seeds and not get beat up. But if I got to be better than everybody and play, that's fine. But like, I learned so much from great teammates like Nick Mangold, Rob Sims, AJ Hawk. Because it doesn't just have to be like your position guys. I mean, it could be Doug Daddish. Like me and Doug would go lift after every practice. Why did we do that? Because AJ Hawk did it. AJ Hawk and Bobby and Schlegel would lift after every practice, no matter how hard the practice was. 2 hours, beat to death, and they're in there getting some. And again, it's not a 2 hour workout. It's it's 40 minutes. Get some shoulders in, get some back in, get some little bit of extra chest in, whatever. It's not like you don't have to go lift for 3 hours after a 2 hour practice. That's crazy, but that little bit of extra always would add up. So like Nick Mangold was a great wrestler in high school, and he was a guy that. He's like, did you ever wrestle? And I was like, I kind of wish I would have, but I just, for whatever reason, I played basketball. And again, basketball, you get attributes from that too, but talking about balance and hand placement, and if a guy's leaning a certain way, he's about to do this move, and so I mean, you really try to kind of foster making each other better, and again, like if you're smart and you've got like good camaraderie and good teammates, even like, I talked to Will Smith made me as good as anybody. Cause again, I had to go against him every day as a freshman and get absolutely annihilated, but he was a great technical pass rusher, exceptionally violent, exceptionally mean. But he was great to me. I would kind of ask him like, hey, what are things that give you problems? Cause if someone can give Will Smith problems, it's going to give everybody problems. So we talk about that. And again, I miss Will Smith every day. I love Will Smith to death. And my last game ever when we played LSU, I'm literally locked arm in arm with him as he was our honorary captain because he played for the Saints. It's one of my favorite photos ever. But if you've got a good culture, guys are willing to teach the young guys. Like guys like Marvin Harrison should teach the young guys. Like again, and that was something. The guy that was the best about that was Urban Meyer. Urban Meyer would say, hey, don't you show up to use the jugs machine, Mike Thomas, unless you're bringing, 4 young guys with him, and teach them how to use it, teach them the routines, teach them how to work. And I did that. Like I'd bring guys in the weight room after practice. After Doug Dadish graduated, I kind of kept that going for that next year in 2007, where I'd bring guys in that wanted to work. And I'm like, look, you don't have to work. Like you don't have to do extra, but there's the guy you're going against. There's some guy out there that's doing extra. And one day you're going to see that guy on the field and you're going to wish that you did the extra. So, I was like, there ain't going to be no MFer out there that's going to outwork me. I promise you. Now he might be better than me, and there's no shame in that. Like if I wanted to play basketball, I could do everything in the world. I'm never going to be able to beat Shaq in basketball. So sometimes you just run into people that are just flat better than you, but at least you can say that you scraped the bottom of the barrel to get every ounce of potential that you could out of yourself. Because again, I took that into coaching. I'm like, look, guys, you guys can, there's a 20-hour rule that the NCAA mandates where it says you're only allowed to be in here for 20 hours. But if you live by that, you're going to suck at life for the rest of your life. You're just going to be a minimalist. You're going to be a minimalist at home. You're going to be a minimalist of a husband, of a dad, of everything. So, I mean, if you want to be great at something, there's no clock. It's just, let's go get it. And let's do it at a super high level and be competitive about it and just be maniacal about it. And that's what I was as a player. Cause I wasn't like God's gift. I mean, I was a 6'4" tackle. I wasn't, again, Orlando Pace, 6'7", 330. I'm 6'4", 300. So, I mean, Orlando is the best player in school history, but like he had generational talent and tools, and he worked like a monster too. But I had to work 1,000 times harder because I just didn't have the tools. You know what I mean? You got to do what you got to scrap when you're a little guy, like I was. But no, it's really cool. Nevada, do you have anything to add to that question?
Nah, I said it before. Your teams are great when your best players are your best guys, and best guys generally are willing to help other people out, and that's certainly the mark of the good ones, and that's why the culture at Ohio State's so strong.
Yeah, and again, it's not always comfortable. I mean, it's not always, hey guys, it's like, no, like, we sucked. Let's go get it. Like we have to go get it in. We got to say after practice, we got to get more work in. Because like if you go out and lay an egg and you suck, like we can't be the first guys off the field after practice. Like we can't be like, oh, we suck this week versus, some MAC school or some crappy Big Ten school, and we got it all figured out. So let's just head in. Like we can't be the first guys off the field. Like we got to grind. We got to grind in the weight room too. That's just so important for the culture. And honestly, Urban Meyer changed that dramatically. And I loved it because, if guys weren't putting in that work, man, it was heck, fire, and brimstone. and I loved it. It was the greatest thing ever because we had too many guys that were comfortable under the old regime, and under Urban, those guys were literally gone. I mean, it was, and their lives were not fun. And I used to just smile and say, "Thank God." Some of these guys that get the free sweatsuits and the free scholarship checks, they don't get to just chill and relax anymore. They get the screws put to them. Austin Spears, thanks for the 100. Appreciate you, brother. Just want to say, appreciate all the scoop and OSU talk. It makes my evening. Ohio, all the way from small town Oklahoma. God bless Oklahoma. I love Oklahoma. I've got a really good friend down there. I just appreciate you so much tuning in. Thanks for being a Scoop Ultra member as well. But yeah, we do this every evening because it makes our evening too. Like, this is, what's more fun than this? Nothing. So we love talking to you guys and kicking it. And again, you guys bring amazing questions. Like, I'm telling you, like, let's go no regrets. That was a great question. So we appreciate you guys' support. Again, we signed up some members to Pay It Forward today. That was awesome. So if you guys have people that are in the military or police officers that are candidates, hit us at buckeyescoop@gmail.com, and we'll verify everything, get them signed up. So again, we appreciate your support of the program, because all the super chats, all the Scoop Ultra memberships are going into the Pay It Forward program. Doug Zilla, thanks for the 10. What up, guys? Shown love from AZ. Saw a pic of the guys working out. Sonny had 106 and JJ Hound on a 4. Does this mean Jeremiah has his number on lock? When do they issue numbers? OH and Nevada Buck says
IO.
Yeah, that means JJ is going to be number 4, which again, that's smart. Quinshon Judkins came in. He's a 4 too, but you can't make JJ angry and not give him the 4. He's probably been requesting it for 2 years now. He's the best player in the country. So you don't want to start off on the wrong foot and give him like number 19 or something stupid like that. The Sonny's 106, that happens when you have a double number. Whoever has 6 on offense has got that. So a lot of times you'll have guys in single digits that are, we'll have a 4 on offense, a 4 on defense, a 2 on offense, a 2 on defense. It's real common because every good player wants a single digit if they can get it. So a lot of those are doubled up. So, you don't hand out workout gear and have 2 guys wearing number 2. You have a guy in 106 and a guy in 2, just because that's how they do it. And when whoever's, I don't know who's in 6, who's on offense, whenever they're gone, then all of a sudden, Sonny will become number 6, and then the young guy that gets 6 will get the 108 or 112 or whatever it was. So that's how that works. I think JJ is going to look great number 4. I'm super excited about that. And it's always fun because this is the time of the year we start to figure out who has what number. Sean Rollins, thank you for the 20. Appreciate you. Thanks for being a member of Scoop Ultra as well. What's up, Kirk in Nevada? Any news on a tight end prospect or someone on the roster stepping up? That is a great question. Again, I got a really good report on Josh Simmons, who looks fantastic in the conditioning work right now. I think he's going to make a big jump. He's my projected guy. Again, he did not have our offseason program last year. He had San Diego State, which I'm sure was nowhere near what we do. And he's, just from watching it, like rewatching his film, like he's got a lot of upside, a lot of potential. I think he could be a mid-round draft guy, just because his movement skill's good. And like I said, he just has to get stronger, and he has to play nastier. Like, that's the big thing, is he has to play. These guys all need to play harder, and they need to finish more up front. And that's the mentality. Like, they need to change that culture a little bit, where I just think that they're just soft and they don't finish blocks. But they've got a lot of ability, and they've got a lot of great movement ability. So the ability is there. Like, as long as the ability is there, you can coach up finishing blocks and being nasty. Because again, that's just part of it. But there's just some brain farts sometimes that just drive you crazy when you're a coach. But that's just part of the game that those guys got to get cleaned up. Nevada, any tight end updates or nuggets? Kazmir kid looks pretty good. I think we're going to see a lot of him as our second tight end. But your thoughts?
Yeah, I think Arrow's pointing up on Kazmir, and I think, without saying anything too bad, I think Jelani Thurman's just got some work to do. And then Jelani's the guy that they started in the bowl game, which was interesting. He was out there early, and I'm not sure he's had the most productive winter so far, but hopefully that he turns that around. And world of ability, man. That guy's a big-time talent. They just got to get it out of him, and sometimes it just takes a little time to draw it out of him, and hopefully that happens this offseason because it's a big time for him.
Yeah, I mean, that's, if I'm Ryan Day, I'm telling Keenan Bailey, your number one job is to develop Johnny Thurman. like more so than the rest of the room combined. Because Jelani has ungodly talent and ability, but he needs to be focused and he needs to be locked in. And again, this is a kid that could be a first round pick at tight end. We don't have any of those. But I mean, he's a kid. He's from the same place as Air Noland, and I think that he just has to be locked in. And again, we've had kids like this that are you gotta kind of get in deep with them, get in and just really understand what makes these kids tick because this kid, it could be a generational tight end for us, and he's a guy that is as talented as any tight end in the country, including Colson Loveland. But you got to get it out of him, and you got to coach him hard, and you got to keep him focused and motivated, and sometimes that's tough, and I think that he's a kid, if I'm Ryan Day, I'm meeting with this kid and Keenan Bailey every single week and saying, this is results from your workouts, this is results from your classroom. We need you to be our starting tight end. Period. End. He's got more talent than every other tight end in that room combined, and we need you to be that guy. Because he can be that guy. And again, he's old man. Odell Thurman. If you guys go Google him, I mean, he was like a rookie of the year candidate. I mean, people thought he was going to be a multi-year Pro Bowler. And he got into the substance abuse policy program in the NFL, and his career was cut like it was kind of like he's like a defensive, he's like a linebacker version of Josh Gordon. Like he could have been as good as anyone in the league, but he just couldn't control himself. So again, I just think that there's a lot of potential, and this is the time of the year where you really got to dig it out of these guys and really get the screws into them and really get those breakthroughs for these kids. Because once these kids break through, then it's like Jelani could be like the T-Rex when the power goes out in Jurassic Park and he just rips through everything and kills everything. That's what we need Jelani to be. And he's not there yet. Right now he's still got the electricity on, but he can bite through it if he wants to. Got another super chat. Let's go. No regrets. Thanks for the 10. Again, appreciate you. That question was outstanding. So thank you so much. Glad you covered urban, encouraging players, helping players. My next question, what do coaches encourage peer-to-peer collaboration? I mean, I did. I mean, I would tell these guys, I'd be like, look, because I wasn't that much older than the guys I coached. I was like 3-4 years older than Brewster and Mike Adams. So those guys were all freshmen the year I went to the NFL. So there's like a 4 or 5 year gap there. But I was young enough where I tried to just empty the book and give them everything that I'd learned from the NFL, everything I learned from college, things that, again, the way I would look at it is I would tell like seniors, like Jack Mehort, some of these guys were really good players. What do you wish you knew when you're an 18-year-old that you could tell to one of these young guys? Or like what could you do? Jack, when Jack was a redshirt junior and Taylor Decker was a true freshman, what do you wish you knew? What could you do to help develop Taylor? Because Taylor was a kid that had fantastic fantastic ankle bend, tall, angular, great looking prospect. But, we had to, accelerate his development and really get it out of him because we knew he had to start in 2013. So there were some tough moments. There were some, there's some, you get in deep with these kids. It's tough sometimes. It's not always hot cocoa and muffins. Sometimes it's hellfire and brimstone. But we turned Taylor into a multimillionaire. Taylor turned Taylor into a multimillionaire tackle. But there's hard moments along the way to become a first round pick and a guy who's made a fortune in the league. But you got to get him there. And like I used to tell Jack and Norwell and Lindsley and these guys, help out Elfline, help out Taylor Decker. Like, what do you wish you knew? What are some things that you could help them with? Watch their reps, coach them, act like you're the coach. Don't just have Ed Warner and I be the coach. Act like you're the coach. Because again, like that's how you get better. And again, a lot of you guys run businesses, you guys own businesses, you guys are managers, you guys, I mean, even if you're just working and you have a coworker that's not doing something right, you can help them. Like, I mean, you don't need to sit there and say, ooh, they're going to mess this up. So, ooh, I can, I'll just let them screw it up and then I'll look better to everybody. It's better if you go help them out and say, hey, this is how you do whatever, whatever the task is. Hey, this is how you audit an insurance policy. Hey, this is the right guy to call for this. Like that always makes, the sum of the whole stronger when you do stuff like that. Like, again, I've been very open. Like if people want questions on how to podcast or how to help, like, I mean, I'm an open book. I like to help people. And again, that's just, I never feel worse helping people kind of achieve what they want. This is my opinion. Nevada, any thoughts on that?
Well, I think people would be surprised how much collaboration there is between teams in the offseason and how
Oh
much
God, yeah.
sharing of information there is. I mean, it's not like everybody's out for each other and fighting. I'm like, teams share all the time. There's symposium and conversations and stuff like that. So that's kind of baked into the cake with the coaches. Is everybody helps everybody else out for the most part, and that goes on all throughout the off season. And I find it to be one of the most attractive parts about coaching.
Yeah, and again, there's clinics. I know that the big Ohio high school clinic is coming up. I think it's probably this weekend. So there's a lot of good stuff where guys exchange information. Like there's a lot of times guys will go visit coaches that they know, like like a guy like James Laurinaitis. It would make sense for him to go visit Steve Spagnuolo, who loves him and is a guy that is probably going to be the next head coach of the Kansas City Chiefs. To go visit him during practice in the offseason and just kind of see what the Chiefs do on defense and clinic and sit in meetings. And, again, coaching is a lot of just peer-to-peer development and building relationships. And plus, you never know who is going to be where in a few years. Ryan Day in 2015 or Ryan Day in 2005 when he was working as a GA at Florida, nobody knew that he was going to be the next head coach at Ohio State. Zach Smith didn't know that. And Zach's in the room and sure as can be, Ryan gets that job. So, I mean, they're still pretty tight because they used to be GAs together, or they were in the same building together. So it's a thing where, if you go somewhere and you get to sit in a room and you ask some good questions and you build a good network, some guy might say, hey, I remember talking to that guy and he's really good. Again, Chip Kelly, the reason Tom Herman became the offensive coordinator in 2012 is because Urban Meyer wasn't sure who to hire. He wanted Chad Morris from Clemson. Chad Morris was like the hot guy, the guy that everybody wanted. He was running Clemson's offense when it was really good. And so Urban called Chip Kelly, who's one of his best friends, and said, who are some guys I should talk to for the offensive coordinator job? And he had Paul Petrino come in. He had Herman and Chip Kelly's like, this Tom Herman guy came and clinicked with us and we talked about the spread offense and he's really good and you should interview him. So Urban interviewed him and they talked philosophy and they talked, hey, I want to go no huddle coach. And Urban had huddled his entire life because Urban's like, I like my quarterback looking in the eyes of my linemen and, like the old school huddle. That's why the huddle is completely defunct. Nobody really huddles anymore in college because it's stupid and huddles are completely irrelevant. And Tom told him that. He's like, look, we're not going to huddle. We're going to go fast. We're going to change tempos. We're going to stress the defense out instead of going slow and huddle. And, huddles are just dumb. And again, I can't believe anybody huddles anymore, but in the league, there's still some teams that do, but I think when you can do no huddle, tempo, you can do look back. There's so many things you can do if you don't waste your time huddling up. And Tom implemented all that stuff and it made our offense awesome. So, but Chip Kelly's vouched for Tom and it got him an interview and sure as can be, from Tom Herman going from Ames, Iowa to clinic at Oregon or, wherever he was at, Rice, Texas State, he would go and visit with Chip Kelly because he loved Chip Kelly's offense and clinic with him. It turned into being the head coach at Texas. If you look at the dots, Ohio State, Ames, Iowa, Ohio State, Houston, Texas. So, I mean, that's why you go and collaborate and you talk and you say, and honestly, if you've got a good relationship with coaches, hey, this is what, if someone's coming off the schedule, if someone's an out of conference team, go tell them what you saw against them. Hey, we beat you guys because you guys, we had these keys against you and this is what we thought you would do. And this is how we beat you. Tom Herman went and clinicked with Bama and he told Kirby Smart, he literally was like, look, you guys were humongous and we couldn't block you on the interior. With our interior guys, with Jacoby Bourne, we couldn't block the big guys. So we were going to run horizontal runs and make you guys run sideline to sideline and make you guys, blown out by the fourth quarter where you can't even breathe. And so, we were not going to run in the A gap against you guys because you guys would kill us. So we ran sideline to sideline. We wanted to go fast. We wanted to gas you out. And that was what inspired Kirby Smart to change his entire defense to the mint defense, which is it's kind of like a hybrid 3-4 type defense. But he made all the players smaller and faster and with better cardio where they wouldn't get gassed out because that Bama defense we played in 14 was big and slow and they got tired. Like the linebackers are 250, 245, and now their linebackers are 225, and they can run like the wind. So the counterbalance to that now is you're seeing offenses get bigger to go against these little guys. So again, it's always fun to see kind of the behind the scenes when these guys clinic and they kind of, like they reveal their hands to the poker game. So, well, again, another great question, my man. I appreciate all these great questions tonight. I think we can wrap this thing up. Nevada, any final thoughts?
Final thoughts are tomorrow is National Signing Day, and I want to give a shout out to Funky, my youngest son, who is signing his national letter of intent tomorrow. I don't humble brag, but he called his shot. He's like, Dad, I'm gonna earn a scholarship. I'm gonna be a college athlete, and he did it. So God bless you, Funky. Great job. I'm proud of you, and I'll be there cheering you on at the signing ceremony tomorrow.
And he used to run in like Converse All Stars, right?
Vans.
He ran in Vans. Like he would run like distance running in Vans, which have like this much support. And I was like, dude, you got to get him in some running shoes, man. Like, what are we doing? But that's awesome. That is a proud Nevada dad moment. So congrats, Funky. I've known you forever, you little turd. And I'm so proud of you. Even though you've had some steaming hot bad takes about Aaron Rodgers, but other than that, you're a pretty good kid. So but you do love to throw some wild takes out there, man. So you'll be perfect for the message board world when you join it. But the biggest thing that'll be funny is when your dad bans you. That'll be awesome. So
I
love it. Well, we'll wrap this thing up. All right, fam. Appreciate you guys again, as always. Another fantastic show, awesome show. Again, thank you guys all, especially Tora, Devin, Austin Spears. Let's go, no regrets. Appreciate you guys kicking it with us. Doreen, all the regulars. You guys coming in, it's always fun to kick it. It's great getting to know a lot of you guys. I've gotten a million LinkedIn requests and Facebook requests, and I'm getting through all of them, I promise you. So if I haven't gotten to yours yet, I apologize. I've got about 1,000 of them, but thank you guys all for tuning in and kicking it with us. If you guys enjoy this content, if you could consider leaving us a like, that's huge for the video. Also, click subscribe, send this to your friends, your colleagues, your coworkers, your family. It's always fun to see who learns about the show from where. It's always just fantastic. So thank you guys so much. And again, if you guys like these live shows, click the little alert bell. It gives you a little alert right on your iPhone as soon as we go live, and then it's great to go. But yeah, we're so thankful for you guys. This is a big show. This is a big day because you guys make it a big day. You guys do, not anybody else. You guys. So thank you guys for all you do. Shout out where you guys are watching from. As always, I love to see where you guys are watching from. Shout out who you guys are watching with, because again, I love seeing the families, father, daughter, all you guys, it's just amazing to see the families watch this together, husband, wife. It's awesome. So thank you guys so much. Again, awesome show. I'm going to be on Buckeye Scoop all night, buckeyescoop.com. If you guys have not joined, it's like this podcast, except it's literally 22 hours a day that we aren't on this. So we're on that. So again, we appreciate you guys so much. I hope you guys have a great rest of your night. Thank you so much, Buckeye Nation. And thank you, Scoop family. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Go Bucks.